Yes. Good idea.
A meaningful experience from this debate. Heavenly Father, we thank you and we praise you for your countless blessings, and we ask for your continued blessings over this competition and the proceedings this afternoon. Amen. Okay, please be seated. That's the only part of this afternoon that I will ask you to stand. So, good afternoon once again. My name is Trudy Christian. I am the organizer of the Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the second annual Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition, a competition that was reborn after a long absence. The competition, of course, the Secondary Schools Debating Competition, of course, organized previously by the Kiwanis Club. So we have revamped and reintroduced, and this is year 2 of the Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition. I want to warmly welcome the schools who will be competing this afternoon, the Orion Academy and the Casabrusk Secondary School. Good afternoon and welcome to you. Of course, I'd like to welcome and say good afternoon as well to our panel of judges who have graciously made themselves available for adjudicating the proceedings, debates this afternoon. Good afternoon to you. Of course, we are live on BBS Radio and Dominica News Online. So to our media houses, good afternoon to you, and to the listeners who are joining us in the virtual realm, good afternoon to you as well. So this afternoon, we will be engaging in the first debate of round 1 of the Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition. So we're up for a treat because nobody has debated yet for 2024. So you all are lucky number 1. In this competition, we will follow the following rules, and I will outline them very briefly. I will summarize the rules so that all parties involved understand what is expected. So in this debate this afternoon, I'm the moderator. I will direct the proceedings, and there will be a timekeeper who will be seated next to me, and this person is responsible for keeping time of the presentations we will hear this afternoon. The timekeeper will indicate to the speakers when there is 1 minute left by a show of a sign. Timekeeper, you can demonstrate. And she will also indicate to the speakers when time is up by the show of another sign. So for the speakers, their eye has to be on the timekeeper at times to keep note of your time. speakers. We will have the first speaker from the proposing side have a maximum of 10 minutes in which to expound on her argument. And the proposing team in this afternoon's debate is the Orion Academy. We will have the first speaker then from the opposing side with a maximum of 10 minutes to present her case, and she will come from the Castle Secondary School. And then we will have the second speaker of the proposing team have a 7-minute maximum time to present, and that will be Orion Academy. And the second speaker of the opposing team has 7 minutes to present from the Castle Secondary School. So just to reiterate, in terms of the rules as it relates to time, our first speakers have 10 minutes each, and our second speakers have 7 minutes each. It has been decided that if there is an excess of a minute over time, that the judges can penalize the debaters with a reduction by 5 points on their score. So 1 minute and more over, so you have a 1 minute grace period, 1 minute and more, there can be a penalty of 5 points for going over time. Okay, so when we go through the first speakers, the second speakers from both schools, we then have a 5-minute break in which the students will prepare their rebuttal. During this time, I will ask the audience to be quiet and to allow the students the time and the peace of mind to effectively prepare their rebuttal. Then we come in with the rebuttal segment of the debate, where each speaker will speak. The proposition will speak first, give their rebuttal, and the opposition will speak and give their rebuttal for a maximum of 3 minutes. So the rebuttal segment is last. At this point, when the rebuttal is done, the judges will retire to deliberate, and then we will call them back once they are completed with their task to give us the critique and the scores, give us the results. Well, the moderator, I will give the results, but they will give that to me. Okay, so these are the rules. I ask of the audience to please make sure that your cell phones are on silent so that the students do not get any unnecessary interruptions as it relates to noise. So make sure that your cell phones are on silent. And please withhold applause until the end of a student's presentation. So allow the students to present, and then you can applaud their efforts at that time. This afternoon, I want to mention, of course, before I get into what everybody is anxious for, which is the debate itself, I want to just mention from the start that we were very fortunate to be sponsored by several companies and several individuals in this debate competition, and I really want to highlight them right at the start so that we are aware that we're very, very fortunate for our sponsors. Lindomat, KFC, Q95 Radio, DBS Radio, covering live this afternoon, UB Global Campus, Flow Dominica, Fremont Consulting Group LLC, Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited through Twapiton and Quincy, Dominica News Online, also covering live this afternoon, Vidian TV, Lovely Things, Finance Focus, Alliance Française de la Dominique, where we are housed this afternoon, The Watering Can, Dr. Joshua Lloyd and Mrs. Currencia Lloyd, Vibe ICARE, Crazy Carrots, National Cooperative Credit Union, Adam Sounds for the sound system this afternoon, and Variety News Group. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Yes, you can clap for the sponsors. Thank you so much to them for their support in this debate competition this year. Okay, so this afternoon we have the topic, the privatization of the energy sector in Dominica is the only way to realize efficient service. The topic again, the privatization of the energy sector in Dominica is the only way to realize efficient service. This topic will be proposed by the Orion Academy and opposed by the Castle Secondary School. This debate will be judged by the panel of 3 judges who are sitting in front of me, and let me introduce them to you. The judges this afternoon are Mr. David Edwards. Mr. Edwards, please wave to the wave to the audience. Mr. Edwards is a regional consultant on development projects, and in the past he has served as a secondary school principal and an official of the Ministry of Education. And of course, he judged last year's competition. Very, very good judge. Welcome, Mr. Edwards, to the competition this afternoon. We have Mrs. Jody Dymond Daniel. Mrs. Daniel is a civil engineer by profession, but also a very popular entrepreneur of the multi-award winning business JD's Natural. Many people would know her products. Good afternoon to you, Mrs. Daniel. And we have Mr. Felix Wilson, who is the past president of the Kiwanis Club and the debate initiative of the Kiwanis Club, and also the past principal of the Dominica Grammar School. Mr. Wilson, good afternoon to you. So these are our judges. Now, to our debaters. I will introduce the debaters and ask them to take their seats on stage. So debaters, this is your time. From the Orion Academy, the proposing team, we have the first speaker, Ms. Dymond Daniel. I'd like to call Ms. Daniel to the front. Ms. Daniel is a 5th former, and she has indicated to us that her favorite subject areas are math and biology. She's also returning to the competition. She was a debater last year and made it to the final. Ms. Dymond Daniel. Our second speaker from Team Orion, the Orion Academy, is Ms. Hafsah Francois, a 3rd former, and she indicated to me that her favorite subject is mathematics. So we have 2 mathematics people from the Orion Academy. Ms. Francois, welcome to you. So Team Orion, to my right, the proposing side. Let's move on to the opposing team from the Cassibrus Secondary School. Our first speaker will be Miss Princess George. And the Princess is a 4th former and has indicated that her favorite subjects are history and French. She's at the Alliance Française. Welcome to you. Welcome to you, Ms. George. And the second speaker from the Cassibrus Secondary School, Ms. Rhian St. Ville, also a 4th former. And Rhian has also indicated that her favorite subject is French. Welcome. Welcome to Team Cassibrus Secondary, the opposing team. Ladies, you can have a seat. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I like to say in debates, it's round 1, it's an important round, and I want the excitement to be felt. The winners, of course, of round 1 will progress to round 2. So, very important debate, and as I like to say, it's time to debate, time to rumble, right? Let's get ready to rumble. So, with not much further ado, and I will remind of the topic once more. I was reminded by my judges that I should have the topic printed. I will work on that. Let me just remind of the topic once more. The privatization of the energy sector in Dominica is the only way to realize efficient service. Debaters, are you ready? Yes? Okay, we have an affirmative response from our debaters. We are ready. I will call on the first speaker from the proposing side, the Orion Academy, Ms. Dymond Daniel, to deliver her arguments. She has 10 minutes in which to do so. Ms. Daniel.
to all. Who remembers this ad? We bring you the power to light up your world. Although it first aired over a decade and a half ago, this catchy jingle for Dominica still lingers on the minds of most Dominicans today. Yet, so many years later, this simple promise seems like a distant dream. Because the largely state-owned monopoly has shamelessly and repeatedly failed to provide consumers with efficient and reliable service. Honorable judges, Madam Moderator, distinguished audience members, and my most worthy opponents. This glaring and unacceptable failure is why my colleague and I stand resolute in our position that the privatization of the energy sector in Dominica is the only way to realize efficient service. Together, we will provide you with 5 indisputable reasons that support our position. But first, let me define a few key terms. What do we mean when we refer to the energy sector? According to Global Edge, MSU's business knowledge website, the energy industry includes the discovery, production, distribution, and sale of energy from multiple power means, including heat, light, propulsion, and whatever else energy may be needed for. For the purpose of this debate, we will be referring to an aspect of the energy sector that deals with the distribution and generation of electricity. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines efficient as capable of producing desired results with little or no waste of time or materials. And finally, the Encyclopedia Britannica gives this noteworthy definition of privatization. And I quote, privatization refers to the transfer of government services or assets to the private sector. Services formerly provided by the government may be contracted out. The objective is to often increase government efficiency. End of quote. Imagine that, capable opponents. Privatization is so often linked with increased efficiency that it has become part of the very definition of the term in this prestigious encyclopedia. Why is this the case? I will now expound on 2 of the 5 reasons. 1. Privatization eliminates bureaucracy. One of the definitions the Oxford Dictionary gives of bureaucracy is excessively complicated administrative procedure. This type of business culture tends to cripple decision making and promotes a lack of accountability and inefficiency. For example, on March 31st, 2022, the government of Dominica regained majority shares in Dominica. Just months later, in 2023, a dreadful and extended period of load shedding began, interrupting economic activities, disrupting student school schedules, and emotionally and mentally catapulting us all back to post-Maria days. But how did this happen? Their own annual report stated that the company made a profit of over $5 million in 2021. And yet, on September 14, 2023, in a press conference, the CEO of Dominica stated that the company was struggling with an aging diesel generation fleet and have surpassed their intended lifespan and are, in her exact words, overdue for retirement. Why was this gross lack of foresight even committed? Who was supposed to approve the upgrades? Was it the Independent Regulatory Commission? Well, apparently not, because on September 18, 2023, the IRC released a statement on the popular news website, Dominica News Online, effectively clearing themselves of blame. Part of the article stated, and I quote, the IRC has been working with both Dominica and the Ministry with responsibility for energy. End of quote. And thus began the all too familiar game of the blame. Honorable judges, the problem is crystal clear. There are too many levels of inefficient bureaucracy, and in the end, nothing gets done. Private companies are much more efficient in their operations compared to government bureaucracies. Decision-making is quick and efficient in order for business to continue to be productive and profitable. Madam Moderator, clearly the solution is to privatize not just the electricity company, but the entire sector. We need to create an environment that encourages investment into the sector so that we have multiple companies generating and distributing electricity in Dominica. Because a free market will be controlled not by a painstakingly slow bureaucratic process, but by competition, which will drive efficiency. That brings us to point 2. The competition resulting from privatization ignites progress and promotes customer satisfaction. According to Nera Economic Consulting, in Chile, after the electricity sector was privatized in 1982, the average industrial and residential prices for electricity fell, while operating expenditure per year reduced by 5.5%. Similar stories have unfolded in the UK and various EU countries. An article provided in cooperation with the Center of European Studies stated, and I quote, "The liberalization process creates competition in the buying and selling of energy and brings an advantage to the consumers who are able to freely choose their supplier." End of quote. Right here in Dominica, we have several fine examples of the benefits of introducing competition into a sector. For decades, the telecommunication sector was controlled by one company. Then Digicel infused some much needed competition into the sector. Suddenly, services such as broadband internet and LTE became available, and prices became more competitive. Till this day, these two companies, Digicel and Flow, constantly push each other toward greater efficiency because of competition, and the consumer benefits. Capable opponents, think back to those long hard days when you came home from school with a ton of assignments and no electricity to complete them. Now imagine the difference it would make if you were able to choose your own electricity company. Imagine the difference it would make if the company knew that you had an option. They would certainly fight to provide you with the best efficient service in order to keep your business. In conclusion, the privatization of the energy sector is not just an option. It is a necessity for a sustainable and efficient future. It unleashes the forces of competition, encourages a quick response to consumer demands, and ultimately benefits the consumer. Judges, over a decade ago, the electricity companies made Dominicans a promise in a cute jingle. But times have changed. We are no longer willing to settle for mediocrity. We need to embrace the privatization of the energy sector and embrace a free market. Isn't it finally time we actually had an efficient company to bring us the power to light up our world? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Daniel. And for the judges, Dymond Daniel's time was 9 minutes and 15 seconds. We now go on to the first speaker from the opposing side, the Castle Bruce Secondary School. And I'd like to call to the podium Miss Princess George.
is not just a trend, it's a necessity for a sustainable future. Author unknown. Madam Moderator, judges, invited guests, students, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow colleague, my most worthy opponents, a pleasant good afternoon to you. My colleague and I are ecstatic to be granted the opportunity to share our views on the topic, the privatization of the energy sector in Dominica is the only way to realize efficient service. By the end of this debate, there will be absolutely no doubt in your mind that privatization of the energy sector is not, and I repeat, is not the only way to realize efficient service. My esteemed colleague and I will bring to light and present indisputable evidence as to why we are firm and steadfast in our resolve that privatization is by no means the only way to realize efficient service. I will reflect upon these 3 points. Number 1, social equity. Number 2, stability and long-term planning. And number 3, strategic resource management. My colleague will further expound on steps in realizing efficiency, such as number 1, investments in renewable energy, and number 2, investments in infrastructure. In our quest to convince you and make you see reason and to totally agree that privatization is not the only way to realize efficiency, it is critical that we define some key terms in the mix. Privatization, as defined by Cambridge Dictionary, is, and I quote, the act of selling an industry, company, or service that was owned and controlled by the government, so it becomes privately owned and controlled, end quote. Merriam-Webster defines the term efficient as, I quote, being capable of producing desired results with little or no waste as of time or materials, end quote. Madam Moderator, my most worthy opponents, let me ask, are you familiar with the saying that there is more than one way to skin a cat? Then why should there be only one way to provide efficient service in the energy sector, and it's only through privatization? Madam Moderator, government-owned energy companies have been able to offer several benefits that contribute to the overall well-being of society and the efficient functioning of the energy sector. Government ownership ensures that energy services are accessible to all citizens, regardless of their socio-economic status. This prevents disparities in energy access and ensures that essential services are provided to underserved or remote communities. According to a discussion paper written by Kessler and Alexander for the United Nations G24 meeting of 2004, and I quote, the success of the private provision model is predicated on a social bargain that excludes the poor, higher prices in exchange for better financial performance, end quote. Madam Moderator, I would now like to draw reference to Puerto Rico, a territory right here in the Caribbean. According to the Center for Puerto Rican Studies, 42.7%, I repeat, 42.7% of the population has lived below the poverty line in 2021. In the 2023 energy profile by the U.S. Energy Information Administration, Puerto Rico had a higher average electricity price than any U.S. state. My fellow colleagues, do you know that the power company Ville was privatized just a few years ago? After which these exorbitant prices were pushed onto the people, especially the poor people. According to Cordero Guzman 2019, the impoverished people experienced a 13% push increase in their bills as a result of this move. Ay Dios mío, ayúdanos. My worthy opponents, by saying that privatization is the only way to realize efficient service, we are thereby agreeing to measures which will add additional strain to the members of our vulnerable population. Madam Moderator, government ownership allows for a more stable and long-term approach to energy planning. State-owned companies
can prioritize strategic investments in infrastructure, research, and development, reducing vulnerability to short-term market fluctuations. State-owned electric companies can align their operations with broader national goals, such as economic development, environmental stability, and energy independence, contributing to a cohesive and integrated approach. Additionally, state ownership allows for strategic, long-term planning to ensure energy security, addressing issues such as diversification of energy sources and the development of a resilient and secure power system. In 2021, the Danish Minister for Climate, Energy and Utilities, Dymond Daniel, presented a report From Black to Green, a Danish sustainable energy growth story. The report outlined how a state-owned company was able to move from black to green energy and laid a roadmap that many other countries could adopt. According to the report, energy planning should be 1. Long-term, 2. Transparent, 3. Stable, and 4. Supported by the legislation through concrete reforms to create a stable environment for decision-making and long-term strategies. My worthy opponents, by leveraging these benefits, state-owned electric companies can play a vital role in providing stable, accessible, and sustainable electricity services while contributing to the long-term goals of the nation. Madam Moderator, the government can effectively manage and control the nation's energy resources, ensuring they are utilized sustainably and in the best interest of the entire population. This helps prevent the exploitation of resources for short-term gains. Strategic resource management is a critical aspect of the efficient operation of state-owned electric companies. Proper management of resources ensures reliable electricity supply, cost effectiveness, and the ability to meet long-term demands. Madam Moderator, strategic resource management involves considering environmental and social impacts. State-owned electric companies can implement policies that prioritize clean energy sources and address community concerns. Also, state-owned electric companies can allocate resources efficiently, considering the economic, social, and environmental aspects of energy production to achieve a balanced and sustainable energy mix. Madam Moderator, in conclusion, the intertwining principles of social equity, stability, long-term planning, and strategic resource management emerge as pivotal elements in shaping the success and sustainability of energy companies. In this holistic paradigm, state-owned energy companies become key architects of a future energy landscape that provides not only economic considerations, but also social welfare and environmental sustainability. As the global community grapples with the challenges of energy transition, the integration of these principles becomes imperative for steering the trajectory of energy companies towards a more inclusive and resilient tomorrow. Madam Moderator, with all I have laid here today, there should be no doubt in your mind that the privatization of the energy sector in Dominica is not the only way to realize efficient service. I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. George. For the judges, the time was 9 minutes. Now, for the second speaker from the proposing side, the Orion Academy, Ms. Hafsah Francois. She has 7 minutes in which to deliver her arguments. Ms. Francois.
Honorable judges, Madam Moderator, distinguished audience members, and my capable opponents. A pleasant good afternoon to you all. The energy sector is the lifeblood of our modern society, powering our homes and the industries that drive our economies. The current state of affairs in Dominica, where we are still clinging to a largely government-controlled energy system, has proven to be inefficient and outdated. It is time to acknowledge that the privatization of the energy sector is the only way to achieve efficient service. My colleague has beautifully explained two convincing reasons why this is the case, and I will now address three more. First, privatization attracts more capital for infrastructure development. Private investors are more willing to fund large-scale projects that are beyond the financial capacity of our small government. For example, until recently, public finance dominated geothermal development in Kenya. According to a case study published by the Climate Policy Initiative, admirably, the government of Kenya has made a bold move to privatize the sector. As a result, a private development company, Ormat, invested a whopping $445 million into a geothermal plant, an investment that is much, much larger than the Kenyan government can handle on their own. What was the result? The plant, named Olkaria 3, is the first privately funded and developed geothermal project in all of Africa. It is an incredible success, with a capacity to generate upwards of 26 megawatts of power. And for reference, in 2023, Dominica's peak power consumption was just over 17 megawatts. Capable opponents, that is the power of private investment. Madam Moderator, I can imagine my opponents thinking, but the government of Dominica is already investing in geothermal energy. But if that's what they are thinking, they have entirely missed the point. The government of Kenya also invested in geothermal energy, but they recognized the power of privatization, and they were able to create an energy sector that was open to private investments, which resulted in the country's most productive geothermal plants, something they could never achieve on their own. geodominica.dm, the official page of the geothermal project in Dominica, clearly states that the network will be owned by the government of Dominica and operated by Dymond. In other words, a brand new energy source, controlled by the same old system that has disappointed us for years. But a sad, sad reality. Judges, the government should be encouraging private investment into the energy sector, not trying to monopolize the sector. However, critics may argue that privatization could still lead to a monopoly and the exploitation of consumers. But this leads me to my second point. A successful privatization plan would still be incentivized and well regulated by the government. Madam Moderator, we are in no way suggesting that the government should throw their hands in the air and walk away from the energy sector entirely. No. For this to work, we need effective regulatory frameworks that can ensure fair competition and encourage sustainable practices. We also need incentives. For example, the same case study referred to earlier states that the government of Kenya has established a proactive mechanism called the GCD to explore the viability of geothermal sites and attract investors who will then develop those sites. There are also regulations in place that protect the environment, protect public interest, and ensure that private companies are fairly taxed, thus infusing money back into the public budget. A system that works is one where private companies are actually answerable to the public. This brings me to my third and final point. Privatization increases accountability. Capable opponents, let me ask you this. If the government of Dominica establishes the regulatory committee responsible for supervising energy production, but the government is also the majority owner of the power company that committee is supposed to supervise, then who is guarding the guard? As my colleague stated, Dominica made millions of dollars in profit in the past few years, and yet, in October of 2023, the generation manager of Dominica stated in an interview that only 3 of the company's 5 hydro turbines were fully functional. One was completely out of service and under investigation, and the other had experienced a blockage. Madam Moderator, who is enforcing the rules that are supposed to govern these rusty, outdated, old systems that keep breaking down in the middle of our rainforest? Private companies are incentivized to strictly follow regulations because they want to continue making a profit. It's that simple. Distinguished judges, my colleague and I have presented 5 indisputable arguments to prove that privatization of the energy sector is the only way forward. 1. Privatization eliminates slow-moving and inefficient. 2. The competition resulting from privatization ignites progress and promotes customer satisfaction. 3. Privatization attracts more capital for infrastructure development. 4. Successful privatization is still incentivized and well regulated by the government. And 5. It increases accountability. As we stand at the crossroads of our energy future, let us embrace the transformative power of privatization and finally pave the way for a more efficient, responsive, and sustainable energy sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Francois. For the judges, the time was 6 minutes and 24 seconds. I'll now call on the second speaker from the opposing team, the Casa Bruce Secondary School, Ms. Rhian St. Ville. She also has 7 minutes in which to deliver her arguments. Ms. St. Ville.
Madam Moderator, judges, invited guests, students, ladies and gentlemen, fellow colleagues, my most worthy opponents, a pleasant good day to all. My proficient colleague has already set the groundwork in presenting to you unequivocally the reasons why we are of the view that the privatization of the energy sector in Dominica is not the only way to realize efficient service. Ensuring efficient services in the energy sector is pivotal for sustainable development and the well-being of our society. The government plays a crucial role in realizing this goal, and I will focus on steps in realizing such efficiency, which includes, number 1, investment in renewable energy, and number 2, investment in infrastructure. Madam Moderator, in my research, I came across this quote by the drumper, which resonates with me. Efficiency is doing better than what is already being done. This means, therefore, that there are some things that the government can do as owner of the power company in Dominica to be able to provide more efficient service to its citizens. One such thing, Madam Moderator, is investment in renewable energy. The government needs to prioritize investments in renewable energy sources such as solar and wind power. This not only promotes sustainability, but also reduces dependency on finite resources, fostering long-term efficiency. And, Madam Moderator, this can be easily achieved here in Dominica. As a matter of fact, we have started in this venture by way of the Dominica Geothermal Development Company Limited, DGDC, which is established and wholly owned by the government of Dominica. It was established to lead all activities related to geothermal exploration in Dominica. It was registered in December 2016 and work began in June 2017. The DGDC claims that, and I quote, "Our mission is to increase the use of renewable energy in the provision of cheaper electricity by the responsible exploitation of Dominica's geothermal resources." End quote. Moreover, according to the International Energy Agency, governments are continuing to push investment into clean energy amid the global energy crisis. The amount of money allocated by the support since 2020 has risen to 1.34 trillion US dollars, Raja Shesh, according to the latest update of the IA's Government Energy Spending Tracker, June 2023. Tell me then, my most worthy opponent, is privatization of the energy sector only way to realize efficiency in this? I do not. Secondly, investment in infrastructure. Government needs to allocate resources to upgrade and expand energy infrastructure, modernizing the grid, improving transmission lines, and investing in energy storage solutions, contribute to a more reliable and efficient energy supply. Power generation infrastructure, the investments through the construction of power plants, whether they are fueled by fossil fuels, investing in these facilities helps to ensure reliable and efficient power supply across the country. Renewable energy investments focus on harnessing the power of the wind, solar, hydro, and other renewable sources to generate electricity. These investments are essential for promoting a sustainable energy mix and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Madam Moderator, my colleague and I are confident that having listened to us way to realize efficiencies. I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ville. For the judges, her time was 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So this concludes the prepared The timekeeper said the time is up. So 5 minutes. Thank you, audience. You have been very respectful of the 5 minutes of silence, and I thank you so much for that. As we, did so in respect of the life that was lost of Miss Daniel Frampton. During this very anxiety-laden time, the debaters are preparing their rebuttals, and I know they don't mind an extra minute or two of preparation time while I just remind the audience, our viewers, our listeners, of our sponsors. So I will give them that, little reward of reminding you of the sponsors whilst we get geared up for the rebuttal segment of the debate. This debating competition, the Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition, is sponsored by Dominica, Lindomat, Fine Foods Inc., KFC, Q95 Radio, DBS Radio, UE Global Campus, Flow, Dominica. That's why I mentioned Ms. Frampton was always my liaison for this. Freeman Consulting Group LLC, Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, Dominica News Online, Vivian TV, Lovely Things, Finance Focus, alias Française de la Dominique, The Watering Can, Dr. Joshua Lloyd and Mrs. Corinthia Lloyd, Vibe Eye Care, Crazy Carrot, the National Cooperative Credit Union, Adam Sounds, and the Variety News Group. There were some smiles when I mentioned Domlec as a sponsor, so Domlec is on board sponsoring, just for the information of our audience, sponsoring the award that we gave last year, and we will be repeating this year for the memorable orators of the Intersecondary Schools competition. So throughout the competition, round 1, round 2, round 3, and the finals, we may view students who excel in their oratory skills, and at the end, at the finals, there are 4 big awards being sponsored by Domlec, so students can look forward to that. So I just wanted to put that in there. Debaters, I have given you enough time. So it is now time for the rebuttal. The debaters have 3 minutes in which to deliver a rebuttal in this debate. And of course, we start with the leader of the proposing team from the Orion Academy. I'll call now to the podium Ms. Dymond Daniel to deliver the rebuttal.
Good afternoon to all once again. Honorable judges, it would seem that my capable opponents need to be reminded of the topic here today. We are discussing whether or not the privatization of the energy sector is the only way to achieve efficient service. My opponents have stated that the government should invest and be in charge of the renewable energy sector. But as my colleague said, why bring in a brand new sector to be controlled by the same old system that has kept disappointing us for years? Honorable judges, my opponents used the example and stated that in Puerto Rico they privatized the energy sectors a couple years ago, and they have pushed the increased prices onto their citizens. However, right now in Dominica, we are paying ridiculously high electricity bills, and we still have nothing to show for it. I mean, let's take Peru for example, Chile for example, sorry. They have privatized their sector, and their prices dropped by 5.5%. Puerto Rico is just half of the percentage that has not implemented their services properly. Honorable judges, Madam Moderator, the entire audience, I know that you can agree with me when I say that the privatization of the energy sector is the only way to realize efficient energy in Dominica, because we all deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Daniel, for your rebuttal. Her time in the rebuttal, 1 minute, 53 seconds. I'll now call the leader of the opposing team from the Castleberry Secondary School to deliver her rebuttal, Ms. Princess George. You're called to the podium.
Madam Moderator, I would like to begin by commending the members of the proposing team for attempting to unearth the foundation that we have laid. However, my dear opponents, I assure you that we, the members of the opposing team, remain steadfast in our resolve and will reiterate that privatization is not the only way to realize efficient service in the energy sector in Dominica. Madam Moderator, the opposing team has presented that privatization leads to quick decision-making, which is not always to the nation's best interest. 2, privatization encourages investments. But are these investments used to the furtherance of the country? 3, privatization increases accountability. But who is holding these private enterprises accountable? However, I would like to remind them that there are many benefits which come from the state-owned companies, which includes accessibility by all citizens, long-term and strategic management, and long-term planning. I would also like to remind my opponents on the proposing side of the old adage, not everything that glitters is gold. While privatization of the energy sector is often considered a viable option for efficiency and innovation, it is crucial to acknowledge and understand the potential disadvantages associated with this approach. Privatization can lead to the emergence of powerful monopolies, limiting competition. This lack of competition may result in higher prices for consumers and reduced incentive for companies to improve services. Additionally, private energy companies may prioritize profits over social responsibility, potentially neglecting underserved or economically disadvantaged communities. This could worsen social inequalities to affordable and reliable energy services. Madam Moderator, esteemed judges, ladies and gentlemen, the answer to today's discussion was very clear and certainly is not what the proposing team has presented. The privatization of the energy sector in Dominica is not the only way to realize efficient service. I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. George. The time was 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners on our media platforms, Dominica News Online, PBS Radio, we have now concluded the competition between the Orion Academy and the Castleberry Secondary School. I'd like you to give all our debaters a round of applause. It is now time for the judges to retire for their deliberation. So if they would like to retire, there's a room for them to do so to my right. And for the debaters, you can now rejoin your colleagues, your teammates from your school. So once again, Ms. Dymond Daniel and Ms. Hafsah Francois represented the Orion Academy. Another round of applause for these ladies as they rejoin their school. And Ms. Princess George and Ms. Rhian St. Ville of the Castleberry Secondary School. So now the decision lies with the judges. The hard work lies with the judges. And we will give them the opportunity to deliberate. Whilst we engage in a discussion on the topic which was debated this afternoon, not on the debater's performance, but a discussion on the topic which was debated this afternoon. So we'll allow the judges to take their leave of the room. And ask them to return with results in quick time. But in the meantime, we want to engage in a discussion on the topic. Now, I don't want people to be scared to participate. This is not a judged discussion, so the competition is already over. The Orion Academy, the Casper Secondary School, both teams have put their best feet forward, and the results now are for the judges to decide. But the topic at hand was the privatization of the energy sector in Dominica is the only way to realize efficient service. And we had several arguments coming from both sides. And what I want to know from the audience, and I will start with this question, is in analysis of the topic, is it felt, or what is your feeling about the efficiency of our energy sector? So I'd like our young people to engage, and by the way, this discussion is sponsored, I would say, by Crazy Carrot. I have some prizes from Crazy Carrot for our contributors this afternoon, so don't be shy. Don't be shy to contribute. What is your thoughts about the efficiency of the energy sector before we can get into the nitty-gritty of the topic? Efficiency of the energy sector. Is any brave students ready to give me their view in that regard? We also have, of course, members of the audience who are not students who can participate as well. We have the principal of the Orion Academy and coach from the Orion Academy. We have the coach and vice principal from the Casper Secondary School. We have a few teachers, very, very low. A few teachers, we have some other members of the audience. So yeah, our discussion is on efficiency. What do you feel about the efficiency of the energy sector? And then we can talk about that privatization aspect. Anybody wants to open the debate in this room? Yes. Miss Gordon, do you want to come to the front? So I have a past debater from the Dominica State College, and let me just recognize right away the Literary and Debating Society of the Dominica State College, and we have a past debater from that society in the audience. And hands up, I want to come to the mic though, because I want the media to pick up your contribution. This morning I invite you to the mic. I
did not raise my hand because I know this was a possibility. But from my perspective, I would say that the energy sector, renewable energy sector in Dominica is inefficient. Plainly because we have a lot of natural resources, we have the capability for geothermal energy, we have the capability for solar energy, and all these hydropower. And when we look at it, well, I did an essay on this a few years ago, and at that point in time, about a third of the energy that was produced by fuel for Dominica, that was being produced by hydropower. So, okay, let me rephrase that. Out of the amount being produced by fuel was, let's say, okay, let me not use figures, but basically it was a very minuscule proportion. It was in very minuscule proportion, and the only main source was hydropower. And we see the effect of relying only on one renewable source, because we see when we had, the sunshine and it kind of giving us a dry up, we saw a reduction in the power available. So I would definitely say that it is inefficient, not moving on to privatization or anything. but I would say there's a lot that can be done. A lot of invested in the resources. We have had plans for the geothermal plant for years. I visited the geothermal plant when I was in primary school and in university now. And we're still not getting power from there. So I think I would say innovation has something to be done.
Thank you, Shonali, for opening up the discussion. As I said, Shonali was a debater in the Dominica State College, at the Dominica State College, and now has moved on to Ville and is part of the debate society here. So students who have debated this afternoon, possibly your future will be, in debates moving forward when you move on to tertiary level education. You never know. So we are continuing our discussion. I don't know if anyone else wants to contribute on that aspect of efficiency and how efficient is our sector if we can improve. But I heard a point come up in the debate as it relates to competition and the impact that competition have on efficiency and the quality. So I want to go into this part of the discussion if anybody wants to contribute in that regard. If there was competition in the energy sector, whether that would improve efficiency, or do you think what it would improve or increase is price? So the question is, as it relates to competition, efficiency or price? So what do you think would be impacted more if there was a competitive aspect in the energy sector? So anybody wants to go into that? Anybody in the audience wants to tackle that? Or something related, if anybody wants to tackle. Do we have any? Oh, by the way, Miss Gordon, Crazy Carrots prize to you. So please hand her right. Yes, round of applause for Ms. Gordon. She receives a good certificate from Crazy Carrot for her, her willingness to contribute this afternoon. Anybody wants to, continue that discussion? Would competition just increase price? We speak about the telecommunication sector and we complain about price. Would the same happen in the energy sector? What is our feeling on that? Anybody wants to contribute to that aspect? I see I have a moderator from the intersecondary schools debating competition here in the person of Dr. Kibo Joseph. Let me just see what is your thought on that? You can come. Yes. You can come to the mic just for media. You can come to the mic. If somebody is shy and doesn't want to come to the mic, I will just repeat what you said. Were affected by that took place for 3 months last year. And I don't think we can say university is affected by it because our classes are in the evening. We have our continuing and professional education program, and so many of our students were not able to because of a lack of electricity in the area. So that had a tremendous impact. And of course, when you miss so many, then students feel like, oh, maybe I'll just drop out and so on. So we had definitely affected our numbers during that period of time. So as somebody who in an institution of my own, I know that there is impact. So it's not just about Dominica and load shedding, but it affects industry and so on. Even down to, we talk about our own staff. There's a lady who sells ice pops, and my staff buys ice pops in the afternoon from her. Well, the load shedding affected her business as well, So when we think about that and we think about the impact that it had on so many people, so many industries, then it does leave a bit of a sour taste and a disappointment that it is not as effective as it should be.
And for my own self, in 2023, 2024, if you grew up in the 80s like I did, I didn't have anybody in the room, but hello to the 80s babies and all. We watched the Jetsons, right? And by now, we should be seeing flying cars and all these wonderful things that the Jetsons promised. But we have not been able to even maintain proper electricity, I'm a friend of Dominica, I must say that. Dominica has sponsored countless programs and activities at the University of the West Indies. I'm not bashing Dominica. But for the times that we are in, on a personal level, I think we should get a bit further than we are in terms of efficiency. All right? Now I better get my prize from Crazy Carrot because I'm already in trouble once he's there. Right? As the schools now specifically, of course, the Orion Academy was proposing the topic. The Castleburg Secondary School opposed the topic. I want to know from the students present, even the debaters, what is your real view on the topic? You were assigned a side, but are you brave enough to say whether you really believe that side that you were assigned, or whether you said to yourself, boy, I agree with the other side, but for the purpose I will given and do my best at it. So I'm asking that question specifically to the students, to the debaters, who wants to lend their voice to that. So I'm speaking Orion to you, CDSS to you, and even to your coaches. The topic, what was your true feeling on the topic? Are you sticking to your side, or did you believe in another side? It's not affecting the results. The judges are not hearing you. So feel free to let me know what was your true opinion on the topic. Do we have anybody who wanted to share?
Wanted to share, but not wanted to buy. Okay?
Yes, sure. Sure.
And if you look at more success, we had a
Roman
I
night?
gave a part in the platform.
Yeah, I was told I couldn't move it. I don't know if I should.
So, of course, at this point, we take the opportunity to thank our very many sponsors who have
Yes, I
come on
can.
board
I can.
and made this live possible for Dominica News Online. We thank the University of the Edinburgh Napa University, the National Cooperative Credit Union Limited, and Josephine Gabriel. We thank our sponsors for coming on board, of course, NCCU. You took the mortgage already, so don't leave your pocket empty. There is life beyond the mortgage with your community financial partner, NCCU. NCCU offers, along with your mortgage, 6%. Six loans at 6% interest. Of course, Josephine Gabriel, another one of our sponsors here at BNO today. Tropical Water is bottled water in Dominica by Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, Pure Dominica Water. Quenchy soft drink is bottled in Dominica by Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. Taste the difference. So, to all of our sponsors, once again, the Edinburgh Napa University, the National Cooperative Credit Union Limited, and Josephine Gabriel, we thank you for making this life possible. We are here at the Alias Forces for the Inter-Secondary Schools Debated Competition. Of course, we saw the proposing side, the Orion Academy, and the opposing side, the Castleburg Secondary School. They were debating the topic, the privatization of the energy sector in Dominica is the only way to realize effective, efficient service.
Okay, thank you to Mrs. Woodman, of course, coach from the Orion Academy weighed in here on the discussion. Do I have any opposing view or maybe even a supporting view from the Castleburg Secondary School? Anybody wants to contribute to the discussion from Team CBSS? Looking at Mr. Winston, looking at Ms. Williams. Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Keanu Winston, Assistant Principal of Castleburg Secondary, one of the debating coaches. I must say, to prepare our side was very, very challenging, having to put the bias aside because I'm not sure for those of us in town side, but where our school is located, we really got the brunt end of the stick when it came to the load shedding. Like, probably every day at school would have to come. And that would leave, I have a colleague here who would maybe cry every day. But that you really fall late in the morning, we come back until like 10 o'clock at night. And at that point, our students will seriously affect people who couldn't get on online work. So I know it was an issue. I somewhat agree with Miss Woodman's position. I think that there is room for efficiency, of course, we can tell that there is room that for the power company to improve, but I'm not sure entirely that competition would help maintain efficiency because if we look at another sector like telecommunications, we cry every day online about the telecommunication providers. There are just two of them, and either you with the one on the left or you with the one on the right. And we cry about the service we get from them. But we jump ship because provider one might have a deal this time around that's cheaper than what provider two is offering. And I'm talking frequency provider one, we jump back to provider two because what provider one is giving us good light. So I'm not sure efficiency would really be realized from competition, but I think, I mean, not to realize, I'm not really maintain. It can be realized, but as to be maintained, I'm not interested.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Winston, Canterbury Secondary School. I still notice the students are scared to give their views on this topic. I will ask the students a very simple question because we hear that theme coming out throughout the discussion. How impacted or how affected are you if the energy sector is not efficient? What does it mean to you as a young person if our energy sector is not efficient? So from the young people's perspective, I want to know, what does it mean to you? I've heard from the adults that it affects business, it affects going to school, if you're doing, distance education. But what about you, the students in the room? How does an inefficient energy sector affect you? So that's my question. And you can stay where you are because I know there's a hesitation to approach the podium. But how does an inefficient energy sector impact you? Anybody wants to contribute? People are still shy. I see a young man looking like he really wants to say something from the Orion Academy. I'm looking at him, I can feel that vibe coming through, and I'm going to put him on the spot. What would you like? You. how does inefficiency in the energy sector, if it's not working well, how does that impact you as a young man?
Internet dropping constantly, speed, last internet drops, can't log back on, unable to get assignments done. What is easy? Not really, just constantly
Annoying, yeah. So annoying, there's the heat, there's the inability to, do what you need to do as it relates to the internet connectivity. Okay, I get that. Anybody else wants to add or support his views? How does inefficiency in the energy sector impact you? Yes, Miss Daniel.
Well, to me, I would feel like it limits my knowledge from school and doing assignments. Because I want to say back holiday, but back in summer holiday, or you would have the chance to go to the library and read all the encyclopedia and all those kind of stuff and get all the information from the books. But it's the 21st century, so we have all that online. I don't try to make we have all that online, so to me, it's like limiting my resources because I won't be able to access it. And we don't have a very functional library right now, so it's hard to get the information that may be needed to do my assignments, especially as I'm looking for my essays and research.
And that's a strong point from Ms. Daniel as it relates to the youth and how dependent we are now, right, on energy and on electricity and reliability of that. So she made a point to read the availability of resources that are not electronic or not powered by electricity. Resources like the library, resources like, hard copy books. And she wanted to say back in the day, it really does seem like back in the day, Miss Daniel, that we had that reliance on these type of sources. And in my lifetime, we have moved so far away from that the people here today, the students here today, might not even know. You mentioned encyclopedia. I don't know how many students here today even know what that hardcover encyclopedia that you have to pay. Yes, with multiple volumes that you have to page through to find the information. I'm sure you cannot relate to that. So it has definitely become something where energy is very important for young people and all people to continue their work. Miss Desiree, we should be acting as the judge's assistants. Can you please as well check on our judges to make sure that the deliberations are coming to an end, yeah? Because people, I'm sure, want to know the results. People are anxious about the results. So we do have, and for my other assistant here, we do have water and crunchy soft drinks for our guests. I think maybe she can distribute those because we do have a little time elapsing and it's hot. So we can engage in some having some drinks because it's hot. Okay. So the judges have asked for 5 more minutes. Let me just inform you, so whilst we are being provided with the drinks, let me just inform you what's going to happen once the judges return with the results. The chief judge will give a critique of the debates this afternoon, and then we will announce the results. There is a prize this afternoon for the best speaker. And of course, the winners will be announced and the runners-up will be announced. In this round, the winner will proceed to round 2 in February 22nd and 23rd. Those are the dates chosen for round 2. And this afternoon, after the results are announced, the winners will actually bid for their topic in round 2. So the winners of this debate cannot say, they will not give an advance notice of the debate topic. They will dip it this afternoon, and round 2 will occur after the carnival season, February 22nd and 23rd. Okay, so I invite our audience, if you'd like refreshment, we have some cold crunchy soft drinks sponsored by Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. Twapito Water, the official water for the intersecondary schools debating competition. Of course, to our listeners on BBS Radio, we and Dominica News Online, we are awaiting the results. I hope you are very tuned in to this debate this afternoon. Just also to let you know, the competition continues tomorrow with another debate in round 1. And this debate will be between the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School and the St. Martin Secondary School. So that happens tomorrow here at the Alliance Française. And on Friday, the Convent High School and the Wesley High School will be debating, and that happens at the UB Global campus Friday afternoon. We'll also have a friendly debate on Thursday afternoon at UE, and that debate will be amongst 3 schools: the reigning champion, the Upper Waldron SDA Academy, the St. Mary's Academy, and the Dominica Grammar School will engage in a discussion, a friendly,
on whether or not the sex offenders registry should be introduced in Dominica, so not competitive. So we have this happening on Thursday afternoon, and we have debates, competitive ones on Thursday and Friday as well. Okay, so we await the judge's decision, and hopefully that is right on the cusp of being delivered. You know, we will be right there. So once they return, we will have the critique from the chief judge, and then, as I said, we'll have the announcement of the results.
Okay. So if you just happen to be joining us, we thank you for joining the Inter-Secondary Schools Debating Competition. This competition brought to you live by Dominica News Online, and this was made possible by our friendly sponsors. So of course, we take the opportunity to thank our sponsors, the Edinburgh Napa University, the National Cooperative Credit Union Limited, and Josephine Gabriel as well for making this live possible. We thank our sponsors for coming on board. Of course, we'd like to remind you, NCCU, you took the mortgage already, so don't leave your pocket empty. There is a life beyond the mortgage with your community financial partner, NCCU. NCCU offers, along with your mortgage, 6 loans at 6% interest. Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. Topita Water is bottled in Dominica by Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. Pure Dominican water. Of course, Quenchy Sub Drink is bottled in Dominica by Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. Taste the difference. So we thank them for coming on board and sponsoring today's live.
But I did have two students who contributed to the discussion. This answer, can you please give the two students from Orion? Coaches, I'm leaving you alone. I'm leaving you alone. Mr. Winston is taking that hard. I'm leaving the coaches out, and I'm giving the crazy carrot gift certificates to our two students who bravely participated in the discussion here this afternoon. Oh. So our judges are returning. We were waiting for the return of the judges. And of course, we will invite the chief judge to deliver the critique.
Thank you, Student Christian. I was penalized to be the chief judge because I came late. And they conspired, Judith Dangoven and David Edwards conspired against me and forced me into that position of being chief judge. But the judging was done by a team of 3. And we followed almost perfectly the same trend in our judgment. And when we look at the span between our points, it was negligible. Okay? Let me first compliment Madame Christian, or Mademoiselle Christian, c'est bon? On a parlé français, Maison Alliance Française. Okay, and I am so happy to see that Trudy has kept the tradition alive of encouraging young people to get involved in debates. Something that we are shying away from, cell phone, and soon AI will be taking over. And Trudy, you've done a good job. Let's give her a check. And not forgetting her team, a team of people who work with her, many of them from the Dominica State College, and they too need compliments. And on the question of Ferdinand, I shivered when Trudy asked for 5 minutes silence because I think Miss, my deputy, that is Trudy's mother, is here. She may recall it, but I think Ferdinand did debate at one stage for the Dominica Grammar School. But I'm not too sure, but I think she did. And it's sad to know that we've lost, and she has been a good person in terms of news reading and announcements of DBS, and later to go to Cable and Wireless, and eventually remain there to the flow. Nobody could propose a program better than Fidel. Very approachable, very friendly, always laughing, hearty laugh. I can see her, you know. And yeah, her telling me, "So it's leave me alone." Yeah? That is the kind of comment you will get from Fidel Fountain. May her soul rest in peace. Now, the matter of this afternoon. Let me just say to you, it was very, very close. Very exceedingly close. And apart from a few polishing that may have to be done by both teams, I will just comment on that. That is critique, not criticize, critique. For the team moving forward, we'll take notes and be better prepared for the next round. We, the judges, thought that there was a good command of understanding the energy needs of Dominica. A lot of regional and international scenarios were used to prove the points, but essentially the debate was about efficiency of energy usage in Dominica by service providers, be they public, and many of them said government, but really it's public versus private sector, etc. And I was enthused, let me just say, by one of the speakers who delivered without reading. That we have to leave out of a debate. The material that you present in a debate has to flow like butterflies in a long chain. Okay? You have to look up at the audience, the judges. Okay? There's one who was at a little disadvantage because she's a little shorter than I am. And hence this podium was just too high for her. So today you have to guard yourself and efficiency about that next time. Have something that is collapsible or can be lowered for shorter people, including yourself. But I think the topic was well handled, and there was a play that we all liked, was on the word only. Our belief as judges is that energy sector has a part to be played by private investment as well as public investment, because public investment takes care of the social aspects of the people of the country. Dominica is no exception, I hope. And so it's our belief that private and public sector should work synergistically together, in that the public will set policies and guidelines, and the private is more geared towards larger profit making, okay? And hence that public contributes to their efficiencies. And overall, we agreed that there should be less reading in presenting your points, and there was clearly teamwork on both teams. I will leave the part that you are all waiting for Miss Christian, to inform who is the winner, who is the best speaker, etc. But those are the points that would lead to one, the best speaker, the delivery particularly, not the content, but the way the topic is presented to you, the audience. And I think that is worldwide, because debates are on internet. It's being seen in Japan, China. I know she has many friends in China, so she can ensure that with whatever language is spoken there, they did understand because there's a means of translation. One little point, because I'm from a science background, like Mr. Edwards, we both went to the grammar school from first form to fifth form to sixth form. And Trudy is younger, and she's a civil engineer, so there was a nice balance. She taught at the Dominica Grammar School. Even if her mom was at the convent, she chose to come to the greatest of all, the Dominica Grammar School. And well, Dominica Grammar School is not debating this, so you cannot say that I'm biased. I was concerned when Trudy gave so much accolade, which she had to because it's a major sponsor to Dominica. Okay? But in no way did that influence. Yes. Thank you very much.
The debaters, so we can deliver the results from the Orion Academy, Ms. Dymond Daniel and Ms. Hafsah Francois. They will be proposing and Cathedral Secondary School, Ms. Princess George, Rhian St. Ville. They will be opposing team. So we invite the ladies back to their positions, and I will deliver the results that the judges have come up with. I will start with announcing the award for Best Speaker. This person was chosen based on excelling in the criteria dealing with their delivery, audibility and clarity, posture and poise, and the command of their material. And the person chosen in this afternoon's debate as the best speaker is Ms. Dymond Daniel of the Orion Academy, the proposing team. Yes, we can present Ms. Daniel with her award for winning the Best Speaker prize this afternoon. Congratulations, Ms. Daniel. Now, for the total score, we have one school scoring 627 points and another school scoring 646 points. And the school scoring 627 points is the Cassibus Secondary School, which means that the Orion Academy has won this debate to the 646 points. They were the proposing team. I congratulate the Orion Academy and the team from the Cassibus Secondary School, and I invite Ms. Anson to present them with their prizes. So the runners-up in this debate, the Cassibus Secondary School, will be presented with their awards. And although we don't have a prize for this, but I just looked through the scores and I want to highlight that from the Cassibus Secondary School, the best rebuttal came from the Cassibus Secondary School. So typically by the finals, we have a prize for best rebuttal. You know, it's a 4-round competition, so we start off small. But I want to highlight that Miss Princess George did deliver the best rebuttal this afternoon. And the winning team from the Orion Academy, they will be presented with their awards. Of course, they now, congratulations, they move to round 2 in this competition. Thank you, students. I will now call on the coach. Well, both coaches can come from the Castlebrooke Secondary School to receive a prize because this is the school in round 1. We're giving a prize to this school in round 1 since we never know though, because sometimes people have to move to round 2, but as of now, we don't know if we'll be seeing them in round 2. So we're giving a prize to the coach. Mr. Winston from the Castlebrooke Secondary School. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the results. I invite now for the last token to our judges who assisted this afternoon. We present to you a token of our appreciation for your efforts. Mr. Edwards, Mr. Wilson, and Mrs. Daniel. So they can come forward or they can receive their awards next to the judges' table. Thank you so much for your time and effort. Sponsors once again for the Inter-Secondary Schools Debating Competition. Longlet, Lindomar, Fine Foods Inc. for KFC Division, Q95 Radio, ETS Radio, UE Global Campus, Flo Dominica, Freeman Consulting Group LLC, Joseph Gabriel and Company Limited, Dominica News Online, IBM TV, Lovely Things, Alliance Française de la Dominique, Finance Focus, The Watering Can, Dr. Joshua Lloyd and Mrs. Lloyd, IKEA, Crazy Carrots, National Cooperative Credit Union, Allen Sounds, and Variety News Group. Thank you so much, and thank you so much to you for being a wonderful audience. Thank you so much, and this is the end of this afternoon's proceeding. Yeah, sure. And any remaining soft drinks or water, people are free to take those as they exit. Thank you, and have a safe journey back.
So to all of our viewers, in case you missed the news, we have the Orion Academy emerging as the winners of the first round of the Inter-Secondary School Debating Competition. Of course, we have the two ladies here. Ladies, congratulations to you, sir. Okay, so congratulations to you all. Okay. Oh, and Dymond, of course, you emerge as the best speaker for today. Just put into words, how do you all feel right now?
We feel both of us, we feel happy and ecstatically did our best, so I'm happy the results were in our favor.
Okay, how long did preparation take for you all?
Since December the 2nd, like we got off to around 13th, so maybe a week after that we started prepping and doing research for the topic.
Okay, and as it pertains to the next round of the next leg of the competition, I anticipate it's the same thing, preparation and putting your best. I'd love to hear from you. You're a shy speaker on camera. Okay, so we have a shy one, but of course, are you all confident that you all will bring home the crown to the Orion?
Yes.
Okay, so ladies, all the best to you all. Can I just stop? Thank you. Okay, so we just heard the news that the Orion Academy emerged victorious at the first round of the Inter-Secondary School Debating Competition. Of course, they went against the Castlebrooke Secondary School, and we heard some results that one of the students was the best, they gave the best rebuttal. So congratulations to the Castlebrooke Secondary School as well. We have Miss Christian. Miss Christian, to our viewers on Dominica News Online, just what is anticipated for the rest rest of the week? Can you give us an idea,
Rest of
please?
the week, there'll be a second debate tomorrow. That's Thursday at 2:30 right here at Alliance Process. This debate will be between the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School and the St. Martin Secondary School. And on Friday at the UB Global Campus, there'll be a debate between the Wesley High School and the Convent High School. There'll also be a friendly debate on Thursday amongst the SMA, the Upper Wardrobe SDA, and the Dominica Grammar School. So we have a lot happening this week, but everybody who succeeds in this round moves on in February to round two. I did want the students to pick their topic for round two, live on DNO, of course. So I want to invite Miss Daniel, come this way to reveal what topic you have dipped, or you can, we don't know yet. So the topic for the next round, Orion Academy has dipped their topic for round two, and Miss Daniel will say what the topic is.
Dominica have become hypersexualized and no longer embrace local culture and tradition. And we are opposing this.
Okay. Not as yet. Once again, for our viewers, can you come forward and repeat the topic once again?
Carnival celebrations in Dominica have become hypersexualized and no longer embrace local culture and tradition. We are opposing this topic.
Okay. Thank you so very much.
So you'll be seeing the Orion Academy in round two on a topic relating to carnival and the hypersexualization. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, thank you so very much, Ms. Christian. So, of course, Dominica News Online will be here tomorrow to bring you more of the coverage of the inter-secondary school debates as it continues tomorrow. And we would like to thank our very many sponsors for coming on board. We thank the Edinburgh Napa University, the National Cooperative Credit Union Limited, and Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited for making this live possible. Of course, NCCU, you took the mortgage already, so don't leave your pocket empty. There is life beyond the mortgage with your community financial partner. NCCU offers, along with your mortgage, 6 loans at 6% interest. Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. Josephine Topito Bottled Water is bottled in Dominica by Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. Pure Dominica Water, as well as Quenchy Soft Drink, is bottled in Dominica by Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. Taste the difference. So to our sponsors, our three sponsors, we just thank you so very much for coming on board and making this life possible. Be sure to stay tuned to DNO tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. for continued coverage of the inter-secondary school debating competition. To all of our viewers, we thank you so very much for staying tuned and staying connected. Do enjoy the rest of your day.